Tom from the future here. I just wanted to say I'm sorry, some of the camera work is not super great. Um, I have learned some lessons for the next video. Some of the stuff are not in frame, and I think I'll just turn off autofocus next time because there's plenty of resolution that I can just do it at longer distance with a fixed sort of focus plane on it. So there won't be annoying autofocus noises in the background. There won't be constant focus shifts on the video, and there will be a better framing of the shots where I actually wanted to show stuff off. Right, thank you. I hope you can live with that and still get some information out of this. See you guys.
Hello guys, I am back with another video, and in this one I want to show off how I'm gonna go about magnetizing my Cataphractii terminators. Before I begin, I just want to say sorry if the audio quality is worse. I hope it's not. I hope it's not just on the right speaker. If it is, I might do it in editing. I might mirror it or something, because I got the camera obviously off to the one side, but I don't have, you know, a lapel mic or anything like that. Yeah. Also, I'm on a proper camera this time, not on my phone. I've had this the entire time, but just never bothered to set it up and show off things properly. Just impromptu videos on my phone. Thought, you know, I actually have a tripod and a camera. I might as well use it. So that's what I'm doing today. I'll try something different. There's a terrain video coming up, filmed before this, or at least the first part of it is filmed before this. That's still on my phone. The second part might be on this camera. We'll see how this goes, right? Okay, enough about that. You're here for Cataphractii magnetizing. So let's just discuss a little bit about it. If you're just here for the tutorial, I'll see if I can make one of those timestamps. Just click that. Well, of course I can make a timestamp. I'll see if I get around to it. That's the thing. I'll put that in the description or card or something. You'll find it. Okay, so what's the deal with the magnetization? Why would you do it? Well, obviously, models are expensive, life is expensive at the moment, and sometimes you don't feel like painting 40 different versions of the same dude just in case you might want lightning claws or you might want this and that, and you know, it makes sense to magnetize it. It is a little bit more expensive because you have to buy the magnets. That's pretty much it. What is expensive is the time that you sink into it, but I would argue that it's way faster investing that time up front rather than having to paint a second or third unit, or yeah, variants of that. So I'd argue in the long run, if you're not just doing like, this is the army, this is my 2,000 point army, and moving on, then for a long-term collection, project, stuff like that, I'd always go with magnetization. Okay, so that's why I want to do it, at least in my book. So what's the fuss about Cataphractii terminators? Well, normally, let's just grab some of these off screen. Also, sorry, I'm having the camera on autofocus. The motor on the lens, I don't know if that noise will show up when it autofocus. I'll try and do as little of it as possible. I'll try to keep it here. Apologies if that annoys anyone, and I'll try to figure it out. Anyway, so these are some examples of my 40K Indomitus terminators. They're all magnetized. They're just, you know, a magnet there and there, and as long as you keep the polarity on, you can just swap everything around, you know, as you want to. So yeah, that's the standard stuff. So what's different about Cataphractii? Well, you could just do it as I did with my first ones here. I did the exact same thing. There's a magnet there, there's a magnet there. You know, you can do that. The problem is the shoulder pads. There's only enough shoulder pads for the exact amount of arms you will need. What I'm trying to say is there's no spare shoulder pads. So let's say you make this arm, and then, oh, I probably want, let me grab that off screen, lightning claw. Well, now I got no shoulders for that, because in that kit, that shoulder pad is here. That's the issue with it. If you have a 3D printer, of course, that's no issue. You just find some, print some, if that's your thing. I'm a little bit torn on that issue, different subject. But what I feel is the best version for me is, let me just grab this off of that and plop that on here. There we go. So, see this guy? Oh, it doesn't have a shoulder on this because I haven't done the left side yet. I've done the right side. So what I've done is I've magnetized this, obviously, and then I've magnetized this, as you can see. Whoop. They're not super strong, but they're plenty strong for what they need to do. I just missed the mark. So here's a bit of a spoiler of how I lined them up. You can see by the red paint. I hope I'm in frame, by the way. Yeah, so, I mean, you could probably figure it all out from this, but I'll go ahead and explain it anyway as I move through this. So yeah. Also, for those of you following along with my army project, I had 2 command squad banners, banner bearers, standard bearers, and I figured I was never going to use that, even if one was a herald and one was a command squad. It's just one of them is just going to collect dust. So I took his arm and I cataphractied him. So that way I can have a cataphracti command squad. Now that I think I am going to use at some point, because the weapon skill 5 is awesome. And for that, I magnetized that. I mean, I'm waiting on some green stuff, because mine is all dried up. But yeah, I need to fix some things. You don't care about that anyway. Yeah, so he has the stuff on it. Yeah. So what you want to do is you basically just want to do a first round of magnetization like this, where you know, magnetize the arms and bodies, but leave the shoulders off. Then what you want to do is you want to assemble your shoulder pads. There's the inner bit, the smaller one, and the bigger one. And let's see if I can match these up. There is a front and a back to them, I suppose. I guess you can flip them around if you want them to look bulkier, maybe. Let me actually just grab one for reference, because I always get this wrong. Let me see. So I want to take... Yeah, it's the curvy bit. So this is a left side one. So there's a curve here. And let me find one with a curve. Why am I only finding the other one? There we go. Curve that way. And you glue them on that on top, so it matches here. I haven't done mold line removal and stuff yet. So there's a bit of flex to this where you glue it. I tend to do like some fully extended. Let's see if it's actually in there. Like this, showing a lot of the underside, and then somewhere it's completely like this. That gives you options for the pose of them. Let's say you have a guy like this who's punching, I'd like to imagine that the top plate would stay sort of still and the underplate would move beneath it, so that this one covers his weak spots while he's doing that. And then when he reaches down, let's say this guy, there's much more of the underpad exposed and not a lot of the upper. So I'll make, I guess, some 50-50, some more extended, some more retracted. You'll see you can swap them around. Let's just take a look. Is this the one I magnetized? So this one I plopped the magnet in the middle, and I'll show you how I lined this stuff up. Let's take some examples here. Let's grab this Combi bolter. You can see it's almost at the very, oh, I hope it's in frame. You can see it's almost at the very back. Like this up here would be the top of it, but it's at the back. Compare that with this assault cannon. It's way up top. So it gives a different expression, so to speak. Let's plop that on there. So that expression is different from, I mean, it doesn't fit with his head pose. It's just shooting off to one side. It does fit with that guy. Let's put it on there. So, yeah. It's subtle, but you can have a little bit of posability and do a little bit of stuff with that. I mean, that way, the only thing that limits you is the amount of magnets, because this is all my Cataphractii spare bits. If in a larger point game, I might want to, as Imperial Fist, run them all as Solarite gauntlets and a couple of Chain Fists in there. In other games, I might just want to throw some Combi bolters and Power Swords on there, or Lightning Claws, just to keep them cheapish, so that I get the joy of having Terminators, because everyone loves Terminators, but not have them be the thing that my army necessarily needs to be centered around, or you know, take up all the points, so I don't have anything left to spend on the things that I actually wanted to do in that game. I just wanted to check in along the way. I've cleaned the mold lines and gates off of all the shoulder pads. You can just check the viewfinder, you can't see all of it here, but lefts and rights. So I just ordered them up like this, just to check that I have everything aligned, and because this is very easy to make mistakes on. I've done it in the past, so didn't want to do it now. There's a couple of things I thought about while doing this. I guess there are some drawbacks to magnetization. I suppose sometimes there's a bit of an extra gap or a seam when you're not careful. It's not that pronounced, to be perfectly honest, on any of mine, but there certainly can be a bit of an extra gap, making the arm to body feel a little bit weird, or a little bit out of proportion, or you can see the magnet and it's tiny in there, and then the arm is thicker again. I guess that's one of the drawbacks. Another drawback could be if you use magnets that are too weak and everything just kind of droops or falls off during transport and stuff, or just on the table and they all look like they're powered down. A third thing I thought about was stuff like this one for Forge World is supposed to have an ammo feed from the box to the gun. There are some workarounds for that, especially if they're plastic, is to just like do a pose to do one and then do the thing over here, but then not glue it here or even magnetize that. But in the case of this resin one, I have tried all kinds of like warm water, girlfriend's hair dryer stuff, and I just cannot bend it in the way that they show on the website. I don't know if it's me or what it is, but I don't think it's gonna happen, and I'm okay without it. I mentally just see it as he has ammo in this part of the gun and he clunks in another mag whenever he's ready to go. I've tried to be super detailed with equipment on the rest of my models, as you probably well know, and I have more comments and edits on that. I'll do another video on progress on the army, because there's a lot. There's actually a lot of progress. Anyway, before I start gluing these, I thought I was going to do this while I was talking, but there you go. It occurred to me that I have not mentioned magnets at all, sizes and whatnot. So for the shoulder pad, no, let's start with the arms. The arms are pretty standard. You can find probably lots of videos on it, but if not, I mean, they're pretty tiny. I think these particular ones are 2 millimeters by maybe 1.5. So 2 in diameter, and then actually let me just take the calipers. Got them right here. They are, yeah, 2 millimeters in diameter width, and then I don't have any left. I've spent the last of them, so there's 3 Terminators without them. I believe they're about 1 millimeter thick, maybe 1.5. I do not remember, but I can probably look that up and edit it in. Probably. Depends where I bought these, if I have the receipt still. So for the shoulder pads, those do not need to be very strong at all or big. So just pick these up. These are tiny, which is good because you don't have a lot of space to drill anyway, and you don't want to accidentally do that thing where it extends because you didn't drill in properly. Like, this will minimize it. Anyway, these are, I believe, 1.5. Yeah, 1.5 millimeters wide and only 0.5 millimeter, so 0.5 millimeters thick. I don't even know if it can focus on it. It probably won't. Yeah, so those are tiny. Right, I'm just gonna glue one on camera so we can have that progression through the video. There we go. By the way, a long time ago, actually, maybe about a year ago, I ran out of my Citadel plastic glue, and the stores were closed, and I really wanted to glue something. Oop. Let me see how I want to position this. There we go. And I found this in my box of old modeling kits. I don't know if it's still sold, but it's the Italeri. It's from a plane kit. Non-toxic cement for plastics. Oh my god! I'm never buying anything but this again. It's basically super glue for plastics, and it's so durable. Maybe it's just because I'm a noob for plastic glues, because I always historically been using super glues, but damn, that's good. I'm gonna see if I can find more. That being said, it's lasted me over a year and it still feels like there's a lot in there. Anyway, shameless plug for that, even though there's definitely no sponsorship. Don't even know if they still make it, but it's good. Highly recommended. And I feel like it smells a little bit like citrus. It has like a synthetic childhood candy kind of smell. Don't eat your glue. Right, I'm gonna do these off camera, and once a couple of them are dry, I will come back and I will show you the process for doing it. Right, I'll be back. Right, I've done some gluing, haven't lined them up nice and neat this time. Yeah, so these are actually still, since it's plastic glue, I didn't lie about this being like super glue. I mean, it sticks kind of instantly, and then it still needs to harden, still needs to melt the two parts together so it's still pliable. So I'm gonna wait with drilling into these, but I am gonna prepare the shoulders. And how do I want to prepare those? So if I hadn't done any magnetization, if I was probably you watching, what I would simply do is just take 1.5mm drill bit, because these are 1.5mm magnets, and I would simply just choose a part roughly mid-ish on one shoulder plate. The first one doesn't matter too much. I promise you. I was thinking back and forth, where should I put it? Will it align with the rest? Don't worry about it. Like I said, you can put holes in different positions on the shoulders. So I'll just talk you through it, then I'll walk you through it. So what I did was I drilled one of them, and I had to, so 1.5mm, 1.5 doesn't actually fit in there snugly because material and whatnot. So just plopped into the hole my knife a little bit, just wiggled it around a little bit, dry fitted it, made sure it was kind of flush, glued it in place. Polarity on the first one does not matter. Polarity on the rest does matter. And I'll show you how I do that, at least in my book. There's probably simpler ways where you don't get glue on your fingernails as I do. You can probably tell. Yeah, so anyway, I drilled the first hole, glued in the first magnet. Then what I did, I'll just demonstrate on one of the ones that are still drying. I took in this case, a red paint. Does not really matter as long as you can tell and it's sort of happy to go on. Just grab sort of generous blob. It's not really generous. I take my magnet here and I cover it. I'm not doing it Duncan style with two thin coats. I'm trying to glob it on while not going outside of it. You already know what I'm doing with this, I bet you. It's so that it leaves an imprint on this. I'll grab one of these. That one was a little bit unstuck. And it's actually the other side. Let me grab one that's from the correct side. It's still drying, but I'll basically have it like, oh, do I want it forward? Do I want it backwards? Do I want it... I think this one I actually want it rotated quite a lot down. So what I'll do is I try to figure out the pose before I dab it on there, because obviously there's going to be red in there. So I'm going to just do this. Press it down. I didn't use enough paint. There is an imprint, but it's not going to show up on camera. It's fine for me working with it, but... Okay. Let me just overdo this so it shows up on camera. I can see the mark, and you will be able to work this out when you're doing it alone, but just glob it on there. That should work. Alright, see if I can hit the same spot-ish. Right, press it down. I hope I'm in frame, by the way. Right, pressed it down. Yeah, that shows up on camera. There's a nice big round red blob for you to take your drill and give it a couple of twists right there and fit a magnet. Now these two will fit together, but this will also fit with any other. In that case it'll just be further forward or backwards depending on where the magnet is on the shoulder. What's actually important is the distance from the shoulder joint and in for where it's gonna sit. Right, so let's do this on the other side. Now in this case, I don't think it's gonna be relevant for me to swap the left and the right ones, but I guess I want to make it so it's uniform. There's also the case that I don't want the polarity to be so I can swap left and rights, because then I won't be a total doofus and put lefts and rights on by accident, and it'll only fit one way. But I think I want it to be the same in case I lose one, or just for ease of mass production. Say if I want to 3D print some stuff with my chapter, or whoa, did I just say chapter? My Legion iconography on it, and I can just plop those off when I go to an official GW tournament and plop the stock Cataphractii ones on. That's an option too. So let's go with it. I'm actually just gonna go with the one I have on my left shoulder and make it fit on the right shoulder, just to get that distance and polarity the same. So I'm gonna do my little trick. Lots of red paint on the magnet. Don't know if you can see it here, but let's just get this first one right. Grab that, and you know the procedure by now. The posability is a little bit different, obviously, because it's a left shoulder and a right, but there's a nice big spot. I am very sorry for taking up your time. I'll just quickly rinse off the brush while I do this and waffle on. And I'll do the rest assembly line style, off camera. Right, so got my power fist, got my drill, got a marking. It is bigger. It is not. It doesn't have to be exact down to the like tiniest of measurements. So if I just plop the drill roughly in the middle of this, it will be just fine. I don't know if you can see it on camera, and if I'm steady enough, it's super easy. Just give it a couple of twists. That is way deeper than it even needs to be. But like I said, this is 1.5 mil, and this is 1.5 mil. It will not fit in there. So I will just take my knife, it's just an old banged up knife, in there, and I basically just do this. And it's actually nice that I don't drill the entire hole too big. This way it's just a surface. I don't know actually what it's called in English, but you do the same thing with screws sometimes when you drill into wood, to just hide the top of the screws or the screw head. It probably not show up on camera. I'm just doing this while I talk. So the first one fits down there. Good. So I'm going to take some super glue. See if I can dab some on there. Just kind of fill the hole with it. I mean, this should be super simple for anyone really that has done a little bit of modeling in the past. Just put that off to the side. Just wipe off some of the excess super glue that's outside of the hole. Right, where's my magnets? Now I need to check the polarity. I was just about to make a mistake there. So I take this is the one. I basically let the magnets do the talking for me. So that's the way I need to put it down there. So on longer, bigger stacks of magnets, it's easy to just, work with it on the, let's say the shoulder pad was on here, I could just do it while it was on there. But in this case, I'm gonna gently take it off. Remember the direction that was down. You can paint that if you're super paranoid about it. So I plop the first one down there, and then I sort of put my tip of my nail on there, and I slide off the rest, and there we go. And that explains why I have super glue hardened on my fingernails. So, sorry if there's no close-up on this while I did it, but I think you can work it out. And it's pretty much already good to go. Oh, tiny magnet. It should work just fine. If I can flip it the right way around. There you go. Obviously that's backwards. The left shoulder pads are here. They're still drying, so I don't want to mess with it, but there you go. And it is now interchangeable between left and right shoulders if you so desire, like I just did. There you go. It's just a matter of mass producing this now. You can use those small magnets. I haven't done it on this because I don't know why. You can do that with the grenade harness, so you can have, you obviously get Cataphractii in boxes of 10 now, not boxes of 5. So maybe you want to run 2 squads of 5 instead of 1 squad of 10. So you just take one of your models. You can basically glue a grenade harness on one of them because it's going to be useful at some point, and it's not a lot of points. But the second one, you can just take a random dude and magnetize it. Obviously, you can magnetize both. So I'm not going to tell you not to do it, but those are some options for you. And then when you get more Forge World upgrades, or if there's new plastic special weapon sets, you just add them as they come along. As long as the shoulder pads are separate, which I think there will be. So, yeah. I guess that's it for the tutorial. Just to answer maybe a question, why didn't I do it with these guys? Because back then I just assembled them because I was happy to get Cataphractii. This was way back when. And now they're my Huskarls for my Imperial Fists. And they're pretty much just going to be with this loadout, especially with the new PDF. They only have 2 weapon options, power weapons or Solarite gauntlets. And I thought, if I'm going to have an elite unit, they're going to have elite weapons. I don't think I'll have a discount version of them. Yeah, also the plastic glue is too strong. I can't actually remove them again. So I guess that's a point not in this guy's favor. The glue, that was probably not in. Hey everyone, just making a small either interjection or at the end. This is on my phone. I packed away my camera. I just optimized the process a little bit, going through all these shoulder pads. I've completed all of them, except for those guys who haven't magnetized, because I ran out of magnets. Anyway, I just want to give the quick tip. I placed, let's see if we can get it. As you can see, 1 magnet on top of each shoulder. That's loose. It still has a magnet under that paint. Let's see if we can focus on it and see if I can get that. So that on there. Then you of course mark them and you drill the holes. I have done it to all of them now, but imagine there's a hole there and you just put super glue in that hole and you plonk it on top and use that as a key, and then let it dry, and then you can detach it. That's the way I got it done quickest, especially since these curved surfaces and these very small magnets, it's difficult to get your finger in there and only grab one, especially if you're down to just a few. Anyway, that's it. The squad is done. So I'll be putting on some extra details and priming them and painting them soon. And since I'm in a different messy angle, here's a sneak peek of what's been going on. Yeah, lots happening. Lots and lots happening. See you guys. Now that the tutorial is over, so to speak, I do have a couple of video ideas coming up. Like I said, I have a terrain video where I built some old terrain. I ordered a bunch of new terrain, as I explained in that one. I have a lot of army progress. I played my first game. I have some feedback and some unit changes I want to make, some weapon changes. I thought about making sort of a video with each unit that I complete from now on, or even go back with the ones I have completed, and do a spotlight on that. So for instance, take my breacher unit, sort of showcase them while I learn the rules and maybe teach you some rules along the way. It's mostly for myself. Sometimes you need it in context. And now I played a game with 2 breacher squads, and I know what I, at this point, like about them and dislike about them. And we can learn a unit together at a time, and I can go back and do new parts on them as I learn more stuff, or if I'm wrong. So I've thought about doing that. If anyone thinks that's helpful, let me know. I'll probably do them anyway, eventually, maybe. We'll see. Yeah. Other than that, I think I'm done for now. I thought there was a couple more videos I wanted to give you guys a heads up on, but let's see how the process goes. I'll catch you guys next time I make a video. See ya!